So with respect now, as our guest of honor, we would like to invite Mr. Sunimal Fernando to address this audience.
Professor Lakshman Watawala, Chief Guest, Professor Malik Ranasinghe, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, may I thank Professor Lakshman Watawala for giving me this opportunity of sharing with all of you the views of His Excellency the President in his endeavor to take English language skills across the country, to share with you some of our experiences as to what problems we faced and are still facing, and what is the prospect for English learners in the future. When we speak of English, we have to remember that until 1956, English, which was then spoken by less than 10% of the people of this country, was the language of administration in Sri Lanka. If you wanted to enter any of the professions, the medical profession, the legal profession, the accountancy profession, if you wanted to be a surveyor, a valuer, you name it, or if you wanted to enter the public service, you had to belong to that small class of English-speaking people comprising 10% of the population. So when we speak of English and the present endeavors of the President to revive the importance of English in contemporary Sri Lanka, we must at the same time salute the landmark decision taken by the then government of 1956 to replace English with Sinhala, and then with Sinhala and Tamil as the languages of administration in the country. If not for the Sinhala national language, if not for the political steps taken to bring Sinhala and Tamil in place of English as the language of administration in the country, 99% of us present in this hall would today be back still in our villages, plowing our fields, attending to a chainer, going out to sea as fishermen, or working as landless laborers, or perhaps in desperation against the order of the day, taking up arms to fight the government of the time and to bring Sinhala and Tamil to replace English as the language of administration in the country. Having said that, let me tell you that we all know that there is a major problem of English in this country. What then is this problem? And where are its roots? A couple of months back, that is just more than 2 years after the launch of the presidential initiative on English as a life skill, little children from a school in the backwoods of the Galle district came to Temple Trees. When the president is around, since he likes children, he goes and speaks to these school children. And that day when he went and spoke to them in Sinhala, they all started replying to him in English, in good, fluent English. He asked them, ළමයි, ඔය ළමයි මෙච්චර ඉංග්‍රීසි ඉගෙන ගත්තේ කොහෙද? කවදද? Children, how did you learn such good English? When? And the children replied, ජනාධිපතිතුමා, අපි හැමදාම ඉංග්‍රීසි ඉගෙන ගත්තා. හැබැයි ඔබතුමා රටට කිව්වහම භාෂාවට බය වෙන්න එපා. අපේ විදිහට ඉංග්‍රීසිය කතා කරමුයි කියලා ඔබතුමා කිව්වයන් පස්සේ අපේ බය ඇරිලා අපි ඉංග්‍රීසිය දැන් කතා කරනවා. Your Excellency, we always learnt English. But it was when you said, speak English our way, don't be frightened of the English language, speak it in our South Asian, Sri Lankan style, our fear began to leave us. And now we actually speak in English. When I mentioned this story to Mr. Lalit Veeratunga, he said, no, not only this school. He said there were several schools that came and surprised the president by speaking to him in fluent English. What then has happened? I think in this little story of this school from the backwoods of Gaul lies the pith and substance of the problem of English in our country. English is easy to learn. But why is it we don't learn it, and why is it a problem? Why is it that when we look for employment, if we don't have fluent English-speaking skills, we find it difficult to get employment, though we may have all the other necessary technical skills in our possession? We learned English in school right up to the presidential initiative. We were taught in schools to read and write in English. We were never taught to speak in English. And when you are taught to read and write in English, you develop an enormous respect and at the same time a fear for the language. It's like the way that we learn Sanskrit or Pali or Latin or Greek in our day. We never dreamt of speaking in that language. We got frightened of the language. That is how English was taught, because that's the way English was taught to British children in the colonial times. In England, it was taught to British children to read and write because they learned to speak at home. We brought that same methodology here, and without changing it, we taught our children whose home language is Tamil or Sinhala to read and write English, but not to speak English. So the immediate change that we brought about was we sent several groups of master trainers to India to learn the methodologies and the techniques of teaching spoken English in schools. And they came back, and over the last 2 years, they have trained 23,000 teachers to teach spoken English. And for the first time, spoken English is being taught in schools, and we are transforming the syllabus, the school syllabi, to teach English through speaking it rather than through reading and writing it. Speaking to come first, listening to come before speaking, next speaking, and while speaking to learn reading and writing. So it is with that transformation that the fear to speak English is gradually receding into history. The second reason was that we redefined English. I was shocked to find that in the school system, English was still seen as a language of the British, and you were trained to pronounce words the way that mythically the British are pronouncing words, because in fact, the British have several different forms of pronunciation. The Welsh in one way, the Irish in another, the Scottish in another, people of London in another, the people of Cornwall in another. And we have our school system had a mythical idea. This is British English, such is British English. And they taught this mythical British English to our children, backed handsomely by the elocution industry, which tried to teach our children to parrot the British pronunciation instead of proudly pronouncing our words in our Sinhala and Tamil way. We made our children lose their self-respect, lose their self-confidence in trying to speak English like Britishers with an ugly British accent instead of speaking English like proud South Asians. We went against all this and changed the English teaching culture in our country. We went step in step with the modern definition of English. While this is the way our school system was defining English, and many of you, when you were in school, must have been trained to think that English is a British language. We went with the modern concept of English, that English is like cricket, is no longer a language of England. It is an international language which happened to have had its origin once upon a time in England. It's like cricket. Cricket was once a British game. Today, is it? No. Today, it's a South Asian game, a game which has happened to have its origins in Britain. Same with English. And today, the modern concept of English, which we now follow with the presidential initiative, is that English is an international language, and there are over more than nearly 200 varieties of English in the world. The Australian variety, as you all know if you listen to cricket commentaries, is different from the British. That is different from the American. That is different from the Indian. That is different from the West Indian. All these are different varieties with different systems of pronunciation, different innovations in vocabulary, and different innovations in diction, and small variations even in grammar. But as long as you speak one variety of English which can be understood by people speaking some other variety of English, that is all that matters. This new concept of English, which is the modern international concept of English, replaced the old, outdated colonial concept of English, which still continues in some places to haunt the secondary school system in our country. Today we proudly say, speak English your way. Make your mistakes and learn by making mistakes. The more mistakes you make in pronunciation, the more mistakes you make in grammar and in diction, that shows that you're a healthy learner, that you're not frightened to make mistakes, because we all learn what is correct by making mistakes and by correcting ourselves. So a radical transformation was brought into the school system. One, the redefinition of English as an international language. And in that matter, I think we also need the cooperation of the private sector. I find that whereas in other countries, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, China, Japan, Korea, the corporate sector in those countries very proudly use their own varieties of English. The Korean variety, slight differences in diction, but as long as you write a letter in the Korean variety to a Sri Lankan corporate, and the Sri Lankan corporate understands what the Korean is trying to say, that is all that matters, because English is only a mode of communication. It is not a fetish. It is not a religion. It is not a ritual where you can't afford to have variation. It is a simple, plain and simple mode of communication. So our corporate sector, unfortunately, I find, is somewhat behind the international norm where English is concerned. Yeah, the international norm today is that you proudly speak English and write English your way in your local variety and exchange your communication with somebody using a different variety, so long as that person can understand what you're saying, that you need not be worried. Still we find that whereas in the school system, while we have changed the whole approach to English and the way of looking at English, in the corporate sector we find that such changes in looking at English as something Sri Lankan and to be proud of it is a change that has yet to come about. So the slow progress of the use of English in the corporate sector, I think a reason for it is this. And we will be happy from the perspective of the presidential initiative if the corporate sector too can cooperate with us in redefining English and using English in the way that it is used in every other developing country. In India, Indians don't write letters to us and correspond with us in British English. Indians do so in their English. And we reply. We, of course, try to reply in British English. We also should reply in our English. And they will understand what we are trying to say. So the concept of English in the past was a great fetish. It was like a religion. Like the hallmark, it was the hallmark of those who have reached something. Those who are able to be like Britishers, like the white man. That is not English in the world today. English today is a simple mode of communication. Across there, in the Mihilaka Madura, today we are having a 2-day workshop with participants from English and Foreign Languages University, India, and the University of Cambridge on how to test spoken English at examinations. We are trying to develop a whole system of testing and introducing spoken English into the GCE O-level and A-level examinations. I mean, it shocked everyone to hear the Cambridge people speaking. Cambridge is miles ahead of all of us. We thought we in the presidential initiative are breaking new ground and being progressive. Cambridge is miles ahead of us. Today, as Cambridge takes English across the borders of England into the European Union and trains people in all the European countries to use English as a common European mode of communication, the respect for individual accents, the respect for individual systems of pronunciation, individual innovations in grammar across Europe, individual types of diction in the different European countries has become the mainstream of the Cambridge definition of the English language. And Cambridge, after all, is the Mecca of English in all times. Today, spelling mistakes, mistakes in spelling and mistakes in grammar do not qualify for any reduction of marks in the British education system. A small spelling mistake, a small grammar mistake, huge crime, almost qualifying to send somebody to the gallows. In England, the very home of English, where English originated, those things don't matter anymore. So therefore, we invite the younger generation to redefine in their own minds what English is. It's only a mode of communication. To decide that you will learn your English by speaking English, by making mistakes, by fearlessly making mistakes, and correcting your mistakes quietly as you go along, because English is not our language. We invite the younger generation to join the rest of the country in this major attitudinal change towards English that is overcoming this country since the presidential initiative was launched 2.5 years ago. And we also invite the private sector to be in step with us. We thought that we are in step with the rest of the world, but we find that universities like Cambridge and English as defined for the European Union are miles ahead of us. And we decided today that we will get advice and seek guidance from the use of English in the European Union and be in step to be on the front line of English learning and English teaching in the world. So with that, that is the encouragement that I can give you, that if we follow these guidelines in our own mind, reflect as you go home on what is English. How did I see English all this time? Have I not been decades out of date with the rest of the world in the way I defined English to myself, the way I learnt English and the way I used English? And if you decide, each one of you, to change your mindset and look at English in a modern way, like the rest of the world is looking at English, you will find that before a year is out, you will also be speaking excellent South Asian English or Sri Lankan English, the type of English that is spoken by people like Mr. Lalit Veeratunga, by Mr. Niwat Cabral, Professor G.L. Piris, Dr. Sarat Tamunugama, our own president, our own leader of the opposition, among others. That is good Sri Lankan English. That has no British pronunciation. They use a lot of Sri Lankan words when they speak. They have their own innovations in diction. Go ahead, do the same. Don't be afraid. You're on the correct path.